is Subramanian. In this video, we are going to talk about cloud security risks and how to manage them effectively. So, what is cloud? Cloud is an alternative to the data centers, where usually 20 years back, the organization used to run their applications in the data center, physical data center. That involves security, a lot of investment, and other maintenance costs. So in the past 10 years, the cloud is most of the organization moved to the cloud, and their applications are running in the cloud. So even though cloud has reduced the cost and efficiency, it also have a risk. So that we are going to see in this video in detail. What are the various cloud security, what are the various categories in the cloud, and what are the risks involved, and how to mitigate all those risks. So as I mentioned, the advantage in the cloud is the CPU, storage, all those things pay as you go model. We can configure at or pay how much CPU or storage we require, and there is no upfront investment in hardware or the real estate. So high capital expenditure for the servers, maintenance, security, all this got reduced. And also one of the major advantage in the cloud is the speed of the deployment. We can procure the infrastructure platform or even the service, and we can deploy in minutes and run the business immediately without the huge investment. So in this cloud, there are three different categories are there. One is infrastructure as a service, a platform as a service, and a software as a service. Each gives different benefits, but also comes with its own risk. Let us go into detail. If I try to cover all these three categories, we can cover the entire cloud securities risk, and how are we going to manage the risk also. So first, let us talk about the infrastructure as a risk. In the infrastructure as a risk, cloud service provider provides the CPUs, virtual memory, and storage on demand, and monitoring the health of the virtual machines. Everything is comes under the cloud provider's responsibility, and including the securing the data centers, providing logs, reports, and evidences for the customer audits also falls under the cloud service providers responsibility. Then what is the responsibility of the customer? Because they are only providing the infrastructure, so customers responsibility to regularly or the regular intervals patch the softwares, update the OS and applications, and install and configure the virtual machines. All this comes under the customer's responsibility. Also firewall configuration also customer has to take care. In this, we are just getting the infrastructure, so we need to take care of the backup also. Then only we can be safe. So these in a high level, these are the comes under the customer's responsibility. In infrastructure as a service, what are the various risks involved? So because here the customer is providing only the infrastructure, right? So we need to ensure there is no threats and vulnerabilities. There are chances of malware in the virtual machines, right? DDoS attacks can happen, exploitable OS vulnerabilities can happen. In this, how we can avoid? We need to deploy end-to-end protection and patch regularly using the cloud native DDoS protection, and regularly we need to harden the OS images so that this risk can be avoided. And what is the another risk? So it is our users are using this infrastructure and our own application, and data is there. Let's say some user accidentally deleting the data. So what will happen? We cannot retrieve back. So if we have a regular backup configuration has been set up, so that can be retrievable. So it is very important to schedule automated backups, test recovery procedures periodically, store backups in a separate regions. In the cloud, we have a separate regions. For example, in India, I'm running a business. Then Mumbai have one. For example, I'm taking the AWS. In Mumbai, there is a data region is there, and there are several availability zones within India. So we let's say my customer is in US and also in India, then I can have one region in the US setup and one region in the India setup, so that even in the worst case, if one region got failed, in the other region I can still retrieve the data, because my data is simultaneously synchronizing in the both the regions. So these are the ways to mitigate this risk. And also there is one more risk called vendor risk. So let's say I am entirely running all my applications, data, everything in the AWS. So what will happen, let's say in future they are increasing the cost or some support issues happening, so I cannot shift over the period immediately from one service provider to another service provider. So it is always better to adopt a multi-cloud strategy. So some of the applications in AWS, some applications in GCP, some applications in Azure. This way I can reduce the vendor risk. So it will be a competitive to the vendors also. They cannot suddenly increase the price and other things. So this is one way we can avoid the vendor risk. So now we have seen the infrastructure as a service. Now let's talk about the platform as a service. In this platform as a service, what happening is AWS, let's say example, they gives you the platform. Platform means runtime, OS, database, middleware, scaling, patching, everything they take care, manage everything. So in this cloud provider, what are the other things they can take care? Data center security. Similar to the infrastructure, here also data center security is falls under the cloud service providers. And any virtualization layer, hypervisor, isolation between customers, all those things also comes under them. Here in infrastructure, OS is customer's responsibility, but in PaaS it is the cloud providers responsibility. And uptimes, disaster recovery, AWS managed services, also that also comes under the cloud service providers. And the softwares like CloudTrail services, like Guard Duty, CloudWatch, this also they provide it as a free, the customers can use it. But in that case of infrastructure, those things we won't get it, but in the platform as a service, we can get it. So in platform as a service, what is the customer responsibility? Customer's responsibility is to do the secure coding. Let's say the customer is utilizing the AWS platform, but we are running the code. If we are running the code with vulnerable code, then what may get happen is, if someone is hacking, then the code can get easily hacked through the let's say someone is writing in a SQL, through the SQL injection they can break the application and get the data, right? So it is always to do the secure coding, testing, and removing vulnerabilities is highly important. And this also comes under the customer responsibility. And another one is the IAM, MFA, least privileges for the developers, and that means all those things are customers responsibility. So let's say, what are the risks involved in the PaaS? For example, configuration risk. If we are going always with the default securities platform settings, that will expose the risk. So harden the default configuration, use the API gateways, and rate limiting. That will be a rare limiting, right? So enable secure coding practices. This way we can avoid the risk. So another major risk is the identity and access management. Let's say in an application, there is no MFA is not there, and high privileges are given for many users. What will happen if someone is breaking this application cloud, right? So they will look for the non-MFA accounts. So they will easily get the access of the non-MFA accounts, and they can steal the data. So it is always we need to ensure that to enable the multiple MFA, multi-factor configuration, multi-factor authentication. So that what will happen is, if someone is trying to log into one particular user, so that message or will goes to their mobile, right? So the hacker not able to read that mobile messages, so they cannot hack the system. So it is always we need to ensure that MFA is implemented. So what is the other risk? Encryption. So our data is there. Even if they break the MFA and get into the hold of the data, if we have kept the data in secured with encrypted, so no way they cannot get the data. So always encrypt the sensitive data end to end using the data classification and masking, and also monitor the data flows with the DLP tools, data loss prevention tools. And then compliance and risk, hosting data in non-compliant regions, lack of audit trails, these are the various risks. To mitigate this risk, we need to follow the data centers aligned with the Indian laws. If it is application is right in India, then we need to follow the Indian laws, enable the platform logging and retention policies, so that if any government is asking for any audit purpose, that we can provide. And application risk, any vulnerable code deployments, insecure third party libraries, all these things are comes under a risk. So in this case, as we discussed earlier, we always need to do a secure coding practice and conduct regular reviews, use dependency scanning tools, implement CI/CD with security gates. This will mitigate the risk. In the same way, in the infrastructure as a service, vendor lock-in is there. It is also applicable also here. So we need to have a multi-cloud uh, in implementation like AWS, GCP, so that we can avoid the dependency of one particular cloud provider. Another risk in the past is the third-party libraries. These may be introduced many vulnerabilities. So for that, how we can mitigate is we need to maintain the risk register, use AWS code pipeline. There is one service with security scanning tools that also we can use to mitigate this third party risk in this one. So this is the platform as a service, their responsibility we have seen, and what are all the various risks we have seen, and how to mitigate this risk we have seen. So now we move on to the software as a service, SaaS. What is software as a service? Here it is better for the customer, very less responsibility for the customer, because OS upgrade, patches, custom everything, customer no need to take it. Cloud provider manages everything, no need to install any software also. That also comes along with the cloud service provider. That means whoever is selling that product, it is their responsibility, it is not the customer responsibility. And IAM also they will provide, but customer has to take care of identity and access management. All those things customer has to take care. Similar to the platform as a service, here also we need to ensure MFA is involved, implemented, and encryption is there, incident response, backup strategy, all those things still comes under the customer's responsibility. So the next one is next what we are going to see is the risks and mitigation. Here, what are the risks involved? Similar to the platform as a service, in software as SaaS, even though the software has been provided, data is our own data. So that data we need to ensure the proper encryption and sensitive data is that we need to ensure. So how we can ensure the sensitive data? The mitigation strategy is AWS KMS. I'm just taking the example of AWS, so I'm familiar with that. So AWS KMS, there is one service is there. Customer managed key is there to avoid the sensitive data at the risk. And also weak password. If you take off the identity access and identity and access management, weak passwords, access password access rotations. These are the mitigation strategies to avoid the IAM risk. The next one is similar to that platform as a service, API and integration security also we need to see. Here how we can mitigate the risk is we can implement AWS gateway as a one service, and another one is the WAF, web application firewall. In this way we can mitigate this third party API and integration security also. That risk also we can avoid. So now we have seen infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and SaaS software as a service. And we also have seen what are the shared responsibilities between customer and cloud provider. And we also seen each categories, what are the risks and how to manage effectively. Thank you.